Think you've seen it all when it comes to tracked farm machinery? Think again. Today we're diving into a countdown of 10 crawler tractors that were so problematic, they barely made a dent in the market, except maybe in the reputations of the companies that made them. These weren't just underwhelming, they were mechanical missteps that taught the industry some tough lessons. From flawed hybrid designs to full-on engineering nightmares, this list covers the crawlers that were more trouble than they were worth. Let's get rolling. 10th Bates Steel Mule Model D. Coming out of Michigan in the late 1910s, the Bates Steel Mule Model D was an early attempt at blending wheels and tracks. Produced by the Bates Machine and Tractor Company, this half-track machine combined rear steel tracks with front wheels for steering. At a glance, it looked like a forward-thinking alternative to standard tractors. Unfortunately, looks were deceiving. The mule's uneven weight distribution made it nose-heavy, particularly on bumpy or sloped ground. Its modest four-cylinder engine often overheated, especially when pushed hard in tough conditions. Downtime became routine for owners, as repairs were frequent and parts were hard to come by. The mule's rear track system was also problematic. Mud, debris, and plant matter easily clogged the tracks due to the lack of a self-cleaning mechanism. Operators frequently had to stop and clear it out manually. While it was an important early experiment in crawler technology, it mostly served as a warning. Hybrid track systems needed serious rethinking before they could compete with full crawler setups. 9. Kletreck Model F. Produced in the early 1920s by the Cleveland Tractor Company, the Kletreck Model F was a compact crawler marketed toward small farms. Its 22 horsepower engine sounded decent on paper, especially for lighter farm duties. But in practice, it couldn't handle heavier work like plowing tough or clay-heavy soil. Stalling became a common complaint, and adjusting the carburetor became a frustrating chore. Track tension was another weak point. The tensioning mechanism wore out quickly, causing the tracks to either slip or bunt. Instead of saving money with a smaller tractor, many owners ended up spending more on repairs and adjustments. Despite these issues, the Model F did help raise awareness about the potential of crawler tractors for smaller farms. It was often the first crawler many farmers used, but for all the interest it generated, its reliability issues ultimately led Kletreck to abandon the model in favor of more robust designs. Act. John Deere Lindamman BO Crawler. The Lindamman BO Crawler was a custom conversion of the John Deere BO wheel tractor by Lindamman Power Equipment of Yakima, Washington. Released in the late 1940s, it was intended for specialty uses like orchard work, where maneuverability and low ground pressure were vital. However, the conversion process proved more complicated than anticipated. The original BO wasn't designed to handle crawler tracks, resulting in a machine with unstable weight distribution. Tipping was a genuine concern on uneven ground. Add to that a two-cylinder engine that became overwhelmed under the crawler's added weight, and performance quickly faltered. Maintenance was another headache. Because it was a one-off conversion, track components weren't standard, making replacement parts difficult to source. Leaks around the final drive assembly were common due to seals that weren't built for crawler stress. While it remains a quirky and collectible part of John Deere history, the Lindamman BO ultimately showed why purpose-built crawlers are more reliable than retrofits. Jedynczy TerraTrack GT Otus. In the 1950s, the American Tractor Corporation introduced the TerraTrack GT30, hoping to appeal to budget-conscious farmers who needed a compact track machine. With a Continental engine pushing around 30 horsepower, the GT30 had promise, but fell short in execution. Its biggest issue was its track assembly. The tensioners wore out quickly, particularly when used in muddy or rocky terrain, causing the tracks to slip or come off entirely. Tightening and readjusting the tracks became a daily chore. The hydraulic system didn't help either. Slow response times and constant fluid leaks made using attachments more frustrating than productive. Though it looked good on paper, the GT30 couldn't deliver when faced with real farm conditions. Power was weak for heavier loads, and the small radiator often clogged with dirt and debris, causing frequent overheating. The GT30 became a cautionary tale. You can't just shrink a crawler and expect it to perform like its full-size cousins. 6th International Harvester T20. Launched in the 1930s, the International Harvester T20 was part of IH's effort to bring track layer efficiency to medium-sized farms. But despite the company's experience in larger industrial crawlers, the T20 came with some frustrating flaws. One of the most persistent problems was the track tensioning system. The tension would loosen quickly, requiring frequent readjustments. Let it go too long, and the tracks could derail, often at the worst time, like in the middle of a muddy harvest. Its 22 horsepower four-cylinder engine wasn't powerful enough for more demanding tasks, and the friction clutch wore out fast, especially during repetitive start-stop fieldwork. Owners found themselves replacing clutches more often than they did on similar machines from competitors like Caterpillar or Allis-Chalmers. The T20 introduced many farmers to smaller crawlers, but it also highlighted the risks of scaling down heavy-duty designs without proper refinement. Bates Holt Caterpillar 2-ton. Before Caterpillar was officially founded in 1925, Holt Manufacturing released the 2-ton crawler in 1917. Weighing about 7,000 pounds and rated at 20 horsepower, it was designed for small farms and light construction. Unfortunately, the 2-ton struggled under even moderate workloads. Its engine was underpowered for tougher terrain, and the cooling system couldn't keep up in hot weather or during extended use. Overheating and cracked engine components were common problems. The clutch system wore out quickly, and parts weren't always readily available. If a clutch failed during harvest season, a farm's schedule could be completely thrown off. The track system was also flawed. Tight turns caused jamming, and derailments were not uncommon. Still, the 2-ton taught Caterpillar valuable lessons. It showed the demand for smaller machines and helped pave the way for improved engine cooling, clutch durability, and track design in later models. Fourth, Lombard's steam log hauler. Developed by Alvin Orlando Lombard in the early 1900s, the Lombard steam log hauler was a pioneering track machine powered by steam. While it's often credited as America's first commercial track vehicle, its flaws were numerous. Being steam-powered, it required constant water refills and fuel for the boiler. If water ran out, the entire machine became useless or dangerous. The track system worked decently on snow, but struggled in rocky or muddy environments, leading to frequent breakdowns. Safety was another issue. Operating a high-pressure steam boiler in remote logging areas was risky. Still, it revolutionized winter logging and laid groundwork for future track vehicle designs, influencing companies like Holt, originating out later Caterpillar. For all its innovation, though, it was a difficult machine to maintain and run safely. 3. Allis-Chalmers Model L. Allis-Chalmers entered the crawler game with its Model L in the late 1920s, aiming to challenge industry leaders. Unfortunately, it quickly showed the pitfalls of rushing a product to market. The four-cylinder engine lacked the power needed for tough jobs, especially in soggy or soft soil. Overheating was a common issue, particularly on Midwestern farms with fine dust that easily clogged the radiator. The track system, adapted from wheel tractor components, proved unreliable. Pins and bushings wore out fast, causing slack and frequent derailments. Despite its flaws, the Model L did establish Allis-Chalmers in the crawler space, paving the way for better models like the Model M. It was a necessary stumble in the brand's evolution. Second, Caterpillar 15. Even industry giants like Caterpillar have had their off days. Released in 1929, the Caterpillar 15 was designed as a lightweight crawler for orchards and small farms. It delivered around 20 horsepower via a gasoline engine and featured a narrower track gauge for tight spaces. But that narrower track created balance problems on uneven ground, increasing the risk of tipping. It also put more stress on the undercarriage, leading to faster wear. The final drive gears were also prone to failure under heavier loads, and replacement parts weren't cheap. Despite its shortcomings, the Cat 15 opened the door for smaller operations to access Caterpillar's engineering, and it helped the company refine future lightweight models. First, Yuba Ball Tread tractor. Topping our list is the most bizarre crawler of all, the Yuba Ball Tread tractor, introduced around 1916 by the Yuba Manufacturing Company of California. Instead of traditional tracks, it used a rolling system of steel ball bearings inside metal channels. It sounded innovative, lower friction and reduced soil compaction, but in practice it was a maintenance nightmare. Dirt and small rocks easily jammed the ball tracks, forcing daily cleanings. Miss a cleaning, and the bearings could seize completely. With a low-powered four-cylinder engine, the Yuba often struggled on anything other than soft, loamy ground. When conditions turned rocky or wet, breakdowns were inevitable. Despite its good intentions, the Yuba Ball Tread stands today as a curious oddity, visually fascinating but functionally flawed. These crawler tractors all had bold ideas behind them, but many fell short in execution. Still, each one played a role in the evolution of tract farm machinery. As the saying goes, sometimes you have to fail forward. Have a favorite story or memory about any of these oddball machines? Drop it in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into mechanical history and vintage tech.